Hello bookish friends! Today I'm going to do the BookTube Newbie Tag. I have my paper here with the questions. So first off, why did you start this channel? Well, I follow a few people on BookTube. Chantal Reads All Day, Chautona, Havig, and Coffee and a Book, and probably a couple others I'm forgetting. And it's really difficult to write comments about all the books I want to talk about because I read usually at least 12 books a month, and that's a lot of books to talk about in comments. So I wanted to make videos about the books I've read so I can talk about them as much as I want, and to hopefully connect with other like-minded readers. Question 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? I don't know if I'd go so far to say unique, but hopefully I can provide good book recommendations to people and can talk books with people in the comments. 3. What are you most excited for with this new channel? Well, it's really good to be able to talk about books as much as I want, and as I already mentioned, I would like to get connected with some other like-minded readers and talk to them in the comments. I've already discovered some new people to talk to in the short time my channel has been active. 4. Why do you love reading? Ooh. Well, in elementary school, especially kindergarten, I had to get done with my schoolwork very quickly, and apparently that made me a troublemaker, and I kept bugging the other students or trying to help them with their work. And so my kindergarten teacher told my parents, please send books with her to read so she'll leave the other students alone. And that habit just continued throughout school. I'd always have a book. Every time I got to a class early, I'd pull out my book and read for a few minutes. Or if I finished the work early and had some time before class was over, I'd pull out a book and read it. And it was also a way for me to connect to my dad, because he became a bit frail when I was in high school. He had a heart attack, and then his kidneys quit working, and so he was on dialysis. And so while he was at dialysis for hours and I was at school, sometimes we would be reading the same book. I especially remember reading the Harry Potter series that way, and we would then be able to talk about them. And it's also become a way for me to connect with my kids about sharing the same stories. Number 5. What book got you into reading? I don't remember. I don't remember learning how to read, so I don't know which book got me into reading. I have always been a reader. 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? That one's hard. They usually answer them because it's like, what are you reading? What's been your favorite book lately? What book should I buy? I guess, what is your favorite book you read from before you started making videos? 7. What challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I have 4 kids. It's very difficult to find time for them to be quiet or for my husband to take them so I can film without noise in the background. Most of my videos have noise from my kids in the background. We live in a small house. That's just the way it is. 8. When did you start reading? Probably before kindergarten. Like I mentioned, I do not remember ever not reading. 9. Where do you read? Sometimes I read in this chair. Usually I'm reading on the couch. I also read in bed before I go to sleep. I usually have a book with me, so I'll read when my husband's driving, everywhere that I can. 10. What kind of books do you like to read? Well, I prefer mysteries, fantasy. I'll do a little bit of contemporary. Very rarely I'll read a classic. I don't do horror. And I don't like books with a lot of swearing in them, and I don't like books with explicit content. And also poetry. I have struggled to find a poet who I like their poetry, except for Jack Perlutsky and his kid poems. Love those. But I don't like any adult poetry. 11. What does your book collection look like? Well, I did a very lengthy bookshelf tour that I will link, but I will also say I did add a couple books to my collection recently. Castle of the Winds by Christina Baehr. I'm actually reading it. And I also got Greetings from Next Door by Chautona Havig. This one is Christmas is supposed to be about peace on earth and goodwill toward men. Glendarrow bought that lie for the first 3 decades of her life, but whoever said that, it was one of God's angels, wasn't it? Clearly hadn't met Glyn's new neighbor. He's stolen all the peace from her life and any goodwill she might have ever had toward men. Chautona's been talking about her inspiration from this book when she was in England, I believe. She hurt her ankle, I believe, and did something to the other leg. And I've been so eager to read this. I don't think I'm going to be able to wait until Christmas season. And I forgot, this one is Victorian fantasy. The first 2 books are in England, but this one's in Wales. And they have dragons, all sorts of dragons, all sizes of dragons. I am so here for it. I've really enjoyed this series. Book 4 is out. Book 5 is almost written and should be out by the end of the year. And it's an indie author, so give her a try. So, if you're a new booktuber, consider yourself tagged. I don't know of any recently started channels who haven't done this tag yet. Or if you don't have a channel and you just want to answer the questions in the comments, go ahead. I'll be sure to read your answers. Let me know if you have a good book to recommend, and happy reading!